dissatisfied with the way the Bruins have been playing of late. They lose to the Flyers 3-2 over the weekend. Prior to that, they lost 5-2, 2 games in a row now. They have lost in regulation. I think the first time in the new year that has happened, right? So, or since early in the new year, right around that time. Jim Murray, go.
Well, he's the opposite of Bruce Cassidy, right? Jim Montgomery. This is one of the reasons that I hired him, because they needed to have a softer, nicer approach for guys like Jake DeBrusk in the room. And they've even found a way to piss him off. And he's calling them out. And he said he hated this game against the Flyers on Saturday and this practice today, so he had him skating gassers because they pissed him off. You've pissed off Jimmy Giggles. And rightfully so. If you were away, Mazz, these last 2 games are atrocious. Now, here's the thing, not to contradict myself, but I kind of want them to lose. I don't want them to win the President's Cup because I don't want to have them getting that albatross for the second consecutive year, and I do believe that thing is a curse. You don't want the stupid President's Cup. Also, I want them to engineer this so that they end up getting the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round, because the Maple Leafs are even bigger losers than the Bruins. They're 4-0 against them this year. I don't care how talented those forwards and centers are. I like the Bruins against Toronto. Can we win one round? That's what I want. But it's the way that they've lost. That's what's pissed me off. The game against the Rangers, second and third period, they were completely outclassed. Hampus Lindholm was atrocious, absolutely atrocious. The second goal, you saw it, Paul, right?
Oh, yeah. It was the goal at the end of the second period to put him behind was a complete giveaway by Lindholm. But I actually thought, they played really well, I thought, in the first period. You're right. They got outplayed in the second and third. Mazz, you weren't here. 2 empty netters in that game. So the 5-2 was, it was a 3-2 game.
It's skewed a little bit. But
and I understand Montgomery's, frustration, because they're 2 similar kind of games. They're playoff atmospheres, playoff intensity. The Philadelphia game was, and I watched a good chunk of that third period. It was wild.
Yeah.
There was a lot of intensity. They're playing to get in, the Flyers, so a lot of desperation, and they didn't respond. And it's the same kind of stuff at the end of games where they're coughing up the puck. It was Lindholm against the Rangers. A terrible, after a beautiful goal by Heinen, had tied the game immediately after I thought Ullmark gave up that real softie to put him behind in the third period. Heinen just gives a terrible pass back to the point, which springs a 3-on-2, gets them in trouble. And I thought the last goal, you didn't see it this way. I thought the shot went off of Carlos' stick and
a little bit,
kind of roofed over Ullmark's shoulder. But it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is it's the same kind of mistakes that they're making at the ends of these games. And if you're in a playoff series, and I don't care if it's Toronto or anybody else, Jim, I don't know how you're feeling good with a 1-goal lead in the third period.
Yeah, so it's not just the inability to close, too. The other thing, because, again, this game on Saturday, it's you talk about like a lack of response in another way, too. So there's a knee-on-knee hit on Brad Marchand.
The first period
where he goes down and he loses his mind. There's no call by the refs. You want to bitch about that? Fine. I'm not going to argue on that because there should have been a call there.
Terrible no call.
So he goes back to the bench. He's slamming his stick. He's yelling at the refs. They penalize him for this, for unsportsmanlike, which is ridiculous. But there was nothing from his teammates. You see, even if you didn't watch this game, go look at the clip on Twitter. Find it online. You look at this show like, is anyone going to, I don't know, kind of muddy up someone's face with your glove, get into a scrum, something? Nothing. No response from his teammates. To your captain? Nothing? That speaks volumes to me. There's a softness going around with this team, and especially in these last couple of losses. Again, I want them to engineer it so that they don't win the President's Cup. I want Toronto in the first round. It's the way that they've lost these last couple of games. I'm like, ugh. Because the goaltending hasn't been great either. Ullmark, I thought, was downright Rask-esque in that third period on Saturday.
Well, right now, They're I think they are tied with Florida in points, but the Panthers have played 1 fewer game.
Yes, yeah. Right, yeah. They got a game in
so, Murray,
and they get Florida tomorrow night.
And the Rangers are right there, too. So, yeah. I would rather have the one. I want to win the division, but I'm with you on the – you can keep the.
Oh, I hate the President's
Trophy or whatever it's called. Letter. You can keep that, but I don't want to drop to the 2-3. At some point, Toronto's going to beat them, and I don't want to. I don't want to deal with that.
Well, Paul, you're not the only one worried about the playoffs because Jim Montgomery had a pretty pointed remark as far as that was concerned. Jimmy Stewart, it's Montgomery number 4, please.
Absolutely. I don't think our team's ready yet for the playoffs. We got to continue to get tested, and we're going to get tested.
Okay, Murray, you agree?
Yeah, that's a good thing to hear from your coach, too. I don't think we're ready for the playoffs.
I mean, good for him for saying it. Give him a kick in the ass.
I agree.
Now, look, maybe they're waiting. Who knows? Last year, the Bruins just breezed through the regular season. The playoffs came. They weren't ready to go. They got tampered. in the playoffs the same way the Lightning did that year when they get swept out by Columbus, I think it was. Wasn't it the Columbus?
It was Columbus.
Yeah.
Columbus beat Tampa Bay that year. They had the historic regular season. You could smell that one coming from a mile away. That one was just, they were headed for that thing from the middle of the season. It was too easy. So this one's been a little harder. And yet, I don't have confidence in that. This is my theme today, Murray. I don't have confidence in anybody. I don't have confidence in the Red Sox. I certainly don't have the confidence in the Patriots to get it right. I have less than zero confidence in Mayo, whom I like. Seems like a nice guy. But in terms of running my football operation, no thank you. And the Bruins in the playoffs?
Oh, yeah, right. No,
That's
my
a
whole
good
life.
one.
2011's the fluke. But I think we'll learn a lot because this upcoming stretch that they have, I mean, it's all teams that are in or vying for the playoffs. You got Florida tomorrow night. They're all on the road. Florida at Tampa. Washington, who's been kind of hot, trying to get that last wild card spot. Nashville, who's in as of right now. So if he's going to call them out and they played soft with this stretch coming up, I think you'll learn a lot. And
Wow.
maybe even be more terrified.
Not
or
ready for the
despondent.
playoffs. Your coach says you're not ready for the playoffs. You get 10 games to go. Now, that's plenty of time. 10 games is plenty of time. You can get a little wind, a little bounce in your legs and be ready to go. But, Murray, I'm with you. I'd rather have Toronto. I would rather have Toronto in the first round.
Yeah, I just would like to finish as high as you could. I mean, I'd rather play a team that's not as good as Toronto. Toronto's talented.
But I just don't want to end up happening what happened last year where, you end up getting that second wild card team who had to basically play a month's worth of playoff games, gets in, they got nothing to lose right now. So again, if you can maybe get Washington, I don't want the Capitals right now. If they ended up squeezing, I think as of right now it's Detroit. But no. Give me Toronto. They're bigger losers than the Bruins.
I mean, that's how I feel. Seriously.